70 years ago, and 25 years ago, the Vienna Declaration and Program of Action was approved. Thus, 2018 provides us with a remarkable opportunity for an honest and open reflection on what we have achieved and what still has to be done. Over the past 70 years, we have established an architecture for the promotion and protection of human rights based on the principles of a human being's inalienable dignity, of justice and equality. This architecture has brought rights and freedoms to millions of people around the globe, rights and freedoms unknown before. It has enabled them to live a life in dignity and peace. It has provided them with redress for violations, and it allows for the prosecution of perpetrators of horrendous human rights violations. This is something political leaders need to be reminded of, especially those who today wage campaigns against the universality of human rights. There are leaders in the world who threaten withdrawal from international or regional treaties and the institutions that uphold them, and there are leaders who interpret human rights treaties in a very restrictive or arbitrary manner, and there are leaders who undermine the authority of courts in charge of interpreting those treaties, be it in Europe or other regions of the world. Experiences as these show that the progress achieved is not irreversible. Ladies and gentlemen, 2 years ago I announced my intent to run for the office of President of Austria through a video. In this video, I quoted Article 1 of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. I called upon the Austrian people not to take these rights and values, our democracy and the rule of law, for granted, but to remain vigilant to ensure their lasting validity. Human rights need to be fostered and fought for time and again. And the Austrian people, the government and myself are acutely aware of our special responsibility to fight anti-Semitism, racism, xenophobia, hate speech, and incitement to violence and discrimination. The protection of human rights remains central to my country's self-understanding. Also, its traditional commitment to human rights at the national and international level has been reaffirmed by my current government. A society's humanity can be measured how it treats its most vulnerable members. National or ethnic, religious, linguistic minorities often belong to the most vulnerable. And due to Austria's history and experience, the protection of minorities has been our long-standing priority. The unequivocal recognition that women's rights are human rights was one achievement of the Vienna World Conference on Human Rights in 1993. The affirmation of the universality of women's rights and the framing of gender-based violence as a human rights issue has contributed to reinforcing Austria's clear commitment to the protection of the human rights of women and children. In this context, let me say a few words about Syria. The attacks on the civilian population in Syria, and particularly in eastern Ghouta, leave us speechless. We continue to hear of entire families being wiped out, of civilians living in a state of panic, and of intentional attacks on essential civilian infrastructure, including medical facilities. Words cannot do justice to describe the horrors and the inconceivably high numbers of civilian casualties caused throughout this civil war, again over the last weeks. We therefore fully support the Secretary General's call for an immediate and sustained cessation of hostilities in accordance with the recent resolution of the United Security Council, and I want to underline again, humanitarian access and respect for the rules of international humanitarian law, which was developed to save civilians from exactly those type of situations, are a legal requirement and not at the discretion of the parties to conflict. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, the Human Rights Council is an invaluable ally in monitoring the implementation of human rights obligations. It can play an important role in strengthening the rules-based international system. However, the texts adopted in this very room have limited impact unless they are matched with national action to ensure their effective implementation. As states, we need a renewed commitment to align our actions with the recommendations of the Council and its mechanisms. We need to truly take this work out of this August chamber and thereby achieve real and tangible changes in the lives of individuals. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, of course, no state has a perfect human rights record, and probably no state ever will. What is essential are credible, well-functioning institutions such as independent judiciaries, a free and pluralistic media, parliaments, and a thriving civil society. Initiatives for the development and protection of these institutions are essential components of Austria's human rights policy. We, the Austrians, now wish to intensify our active engagement for the promotion and protection of human rights. As a member of the Human Rights Council, Austria has therefore presented its candidature for membership for the period 2019 to 2021. We take pride in the fact that the Vienna Declaration and Programme of Action were the basis for the establishment of the Office of the High Commissioner for Human Rights. Austria reaffirms its commitment to support an independent and sufficiently funded and efficient Office of the High Commissioner for Human Rights, as well as the important work of the Special Procedures and Human Rights Treaty body system. We also strongly believe that the increased involvement of civil society in the work of national and international human rights bodies has greatly enhanced the relevance and effectiveness of these fora. If elected as a member of the Human Rights Council, we will look for ways to build bridges. We will make every effort to contribute to a team spirit of shared ownership and joint responsibility for the advancement of human rights. I am convinced that my country, if elected to the Human Rights Council for the period 2019 to 2021, can make a substantial contribution for promoting and protecting human rights for the benefit of everybody. It is in this spirit that I seek your valuable support. Thank you very much for your attention.
I thank you very much, Mr. President. I now have the honor to welcoming His Excellency Mr. Felipe Jacinto Nyusi, President of Mozambique, and invite him to deliver his statement. Mr. President, you have the floor.
Excelentíssimo Senhor
His Excellency
Vojislav Such, Presidente do Conselho dos Direitos Humanos,
Vojislav Such, President of the Human Rights Council,
Excelentíssimo Senhor Miroslav
Excellency
Lajčák,
Miroslav
Presidente
Lajčák,
da Assembleia Geral das Nações
President
Unidas,
of the General Assembly of the United Nations,
Excelentíssimo Senhor António Guterres, Secretário-Geral,
Excellency Antonio
Nações
Guterres,
Unidas,
Secretary General of the United
respetados
Nations,
chefes de Estados e do Governo,
respected heads of state and government,
Excelentíssimo Senhor Zeid Hussein,
His
Alto Comissário
Excellency
das Nações Unidas
Zaid
para os
Ra'ad
Direitos
al-Hussein,
Humanos,
United Nations High
Minhas
Commissioner for
senhoras e
Human
meus
Rights,
senhores.
ladies and gentlemen,
é com elevada honra e alegria
Excellencies,
que me
it
dirijo
is a
a
great
Vossas
pleasure and
Excelências na
honor for
ocasião
me to address you
do
at this,
segmento
the
do alto nível
37th session of the
36ª
Human Rights
sessão
Council in this
deste
the
Conselho de
high-level
Direitos Humanos.
segment.
Permitam-me
Allow me
que congratule o Sr.
to
Václav Suk,
congratulate
que com a sua larga experiência
Vojislav
e entrega
Such,
tem
who
conseguido
with his
dirigir
vast
este Conselho
experience and
no meio
dedication
dos vários
has managed
desafios, sem, no
to
entanto, desviar-se
steer
dos seus
the Council
objetivos,
through challenging
a
water,
proteção e a
charting his
promoção dos
course
direitos humanos.
by the aims of the Council, the
Presidente,
protection and promotion of human rights.
Usamos da palavra nesta magna Assembleia
We're taking
no ano
the
em que a
floor at
Declaração
this
Universal dos
august
Direitos Humanos
gathering,
completa exatamente 70 anos.
the time when the Universal
Igualmente,
Declaration of Human Rights
Fazemos-lo num ano em que a
is
Declaração e o
celebrating
Programa
its
de Ação de
70th
Viena
anniversary.
completam
It's also this
seu
year that the Vienna
25º
Declaration
aniversário,
Programme of Action
portanto,
turns
suas bordas de prata.
25. That is to say,
Este
it is
é, pois,
celebrating
momento
its silver
auspicioso para
jubilee.
Moçambique. Na sua
This
qualidade
is
de membro
thus
das
an
Nações Unidas,
auspicious moment for Mozambique
reafirmar o
as a
seu
member of the United
compromisso
Nations
com a agenda da
to
promoção e
reiterate
proteção
its
dos direitos
commitment
humanos.
to the agenda of
Neste
promoting and protecting
contexto,
human rights.
escolhi
In
o
this
tema
regard, I
mais
have
importante para
chosen
me debruçar sobre o
the
direito
most
humano,
important subject
e sem o
in the
qual
field of human
nenhum
rights.
outro direito pode existir.
It is a right
O
without
direito
which
humano
no other right can
à vida.
exist.
De acordo
human
com a
right
Declaração
to
Universal
life.
dos Direitos Humanos,
In accordance
adotada
with
em
the
dezembro
Universal
de
Declaration of Human Rights,
1948,
adopted in December
todos os seres
1948,
humanos
all
nascem
human
livres
beings are
e
born
iguais em
free
dignidades e em
and
direitos,
equal in dignity
independentemente
and
das
rights.
diferenças que nos caracterizam como
Regardless
seres
of our
humanos.
differences as human
Todos
beings,
temos o direito à
we
vida.
all have the right to
Temos o
life.
direito de
We
emitir e
have
defender
the
uma
right
opinião.
to express
escolher
and
os
defend
nossos
our
representantes.
opinions, to choose our
Temos o
representatives.
direito de
We
ir
also
e vir,
have the right
deixar
to
país
come
and
go,
e a ele regressar. Todos
come
temos o
and go
direito
from a
de
country and return to
professar
it.
ou não
We also have
uma
the
religião,
right
entre outros.
to profess a
Minhas
religion,
senhoras e meus senhores,
amongst other rights.
apesar
Ladies and
deste
gentlemen,
assinalável avanço, a luta pelos
despite
direitos humanos ainda está
progress,
longe de se considerar terminada.
The struggle for human rights is far
Continuamos
from over.
a assistir com cidadãos
We
nossos que, em
Continue,
defesa dos seus ideais ou na busca de uma vida
witness
melhor,
fellow
enfrentam
citizens
situações que
trying to
perigam a sua
defend their
vida.
rights or looking
Os
for a better
conflitos
life,
armados e imigrações
facing
continuam
danger.
a dizimar inúmeras vidas
Armed
humanas.
conflicts and irregular
Perdem-se
migration
vidas de crianças e
continue to
mulheres
cause the loss of
que
many
poderiam dar
lives,
um
men,
contributo
women and
inestimável
children who
ao
could
nosso planeta.
play a
De
valuable
igual modo,
role
milhares de pessoas,
for our planet.
parte dos quais jovens, provenientes maioritariamente
Similarly,
de países
thousands of
africanos,
people,
a Ásia e a
mostly
América
young
Latina,
people from
têm
the
sido
countries of
forçadas
Africa,
a migrar
Asia
em
and Latin America
consequência
are forced
de
to migrate
conflitos
as a
armados e
result
ou
of armed
da pobreza.
conflict and
Como
or
Estados-membros
poverty.
das Nações Unidas,
As member states of the United
vinculados ao
Nations,
cumprimento
we
rigoroso
are
dos princípios de
bound
direitos
to the
humanos,
strict observance
não
of human
podemos
rights.
continuar
Thus, we
a
cannot
assistir de forma impávida e
continue
serena
to
a
sit
este
back
flagelo.
and watch this
Almejamos
scourge.
o estabelecimento de uma sociedade mais justa,
We must establish
igualitária e
a
fraterna,
more
na
just,
qual as
equitable, and
prerrogativas do
fraternal
indivíduo
society in which
são
individual
respeitadas.
prerogatives
O
are
direito humano
respected.
à vida
The human
deve
right to
posicionar
life
como valor supremo,
must be considered
defensável e
a
defendido
supreme value,
por todos,
which
sem
must be
exceção
defended
de natureza
by
alguma.
all without
Por isso,
any exceptions.
que durante o nosso
This is
mandato,
why
tendo percebido
during
os desafios que punham
our
em
term
causa a
of
nossa
office,
segurança e estabilidade,
we
passamos a
have
dedicar de forma afincada
come to grips
os
with
nossos
the
esforços
challenges
na
that have
busca da
undermined
paz
our
efetiva e
security and
duradoura
stability
para
and move on
Moçambique.
to devote all our
Temos estado a
efforts
dar
to
passos
search for
significativos para o
effective
seu
and
alcance,
lasting peace for
através do
Mozambique.
diálogo
We've
permanente,
taken
da
significant
tolerância,
steps through
espírito
permanent
de
dialogue
reconciliação,
and tolerance in
confiança
the
mútua
spirit of
e humildade,
reconciliation,
reduzindo assim a
mutual
incidência das
respect and
violências
humility.
de
And
direitos
thus we have
humanos.
managed to
Minhas senhoras e meus
reduce
senhores,
the
dando
incidence
corpo à
of
nossa
human rights
Constituição,
violations.
que consagra os
Ladies and
direitos,
gentlemen, our
deveres e liberdades
Constitution
fundamentais.
enshrines fundamental
Moçambique
rights
aprovou importantes
and
diplomas
freedoms.
legais
In this
para a
spirit,
promoção e
Mozambique has
proteção dos
approved
direitos
important
humanos.
approved
Dentre
important legal
as leis
instruments to promote
aprovadas
and protect
destacam-se
human rights.
lei sobre a violência
Notably,
doméstica
the law on
praticada
domestic
contra a mulher,
violence committed against
lei do
women,
direito à informação,
law on the
lei de
right to
proteção da
information,
pessoa, do trabalhador e
protecting
do candidato ao
workers
emprego vivendo
and
com